Dr. Kathy, are you able to touch on emotional affairs happening without the betrayer even realizing it's happening? Yes, sure, I'm happy to talk about this. So, affairs start very subtly, very gradually, sort of casually, right? Most of the time, people have affairs with somebody that they work with, a neighbor, a close friend, or the spouse or partner of a close friend, because it starts with you sort of opening up about how you're struggling. So more often than not, you as a person are not doing very well. You're depressed, you're anxious, you're grieving, something's going on with you, you're not feeling great. Then your relationship is strained, and then something else happens that kind of kicks you into, I often call it a world of pain, but a very bad place where you just feel awful all of the time. And what you start to do is tell people that you don't feel good, because what we want is people to comfort us, to help us feel better. Ordinarily, we would turn to our partner and say, I'm really struggling. This thing happened at work. I'm worried I might get fired, or I'm worried we're going to lose the contract. I'm really stressed out. We would start by opening up to our partner. But if we feel like we can't, or things are too strained with our partner, or we have avoidant attachment, we just shove those feelings down and don't talk. But maybe we'll start to talk to somebody at work and just say, I'm really, really worried about what's going to happen with this contract. And they'll say, yeah, me too. It's really hard. And you start to bond over that. Then that builds into something else. You start talking about other things in your life, and you start saying, yeah, things are complicated at home. And they say, yeah, me too. And it feels so good to have someone be in that same space with us. Misery loves company. Misery really loves miserable company. So then you guys decide, oh, we should grab a coffee or a beer after work or something. And then you go, and then you're drinking, and then you decide to, let your guard down a little bit more, and you go, yeah, my relationship has basically been on the rocks for years, and and they say, oh, me too. And, then you part ways, but then you start texting, and then you start texting more, and then you make plans for lunch, and then you have a dinner, and then things keep growing until one day you're in a car and you're kissing, and then you say, oh, we'll never do this again. But then, you try to stop, and you start to crave this other person, because now you've developed a little bit of an emotional addiction to them, right? You want that dopamine hit from interacting with them. So you spend more time, and one thing leads to another, and you're having a full-blown affair. So it happens very gradually. And I think the thing to be on the lookout for is, are you in the Bermuda Triangle? If you are, you're at high risk for an affair. What are you going to do to take care of yourself so that you don't lean on a coworker, neighbor, someone else, and start to make poor choices? You're also very vulnerable to mate poaching at that time, where somebody else can see that you're not doing well and kind of swoop in and try to connect with you. That's a dangerous time. So if you find yourself, or you find your partner in this Bermuda Triangle that I've talked about, that's a really good time to talk to each other, and or talk to a therapist, or find some trusted older family member or friend that you can connect with, somebody that you're not likely to have any kind of physical attraction to, and see if you can try to make things a little bit better. Try to figure out the situation so that you're not at high risk of making some very poor choices. We basically want to cope in a much healthier way. So hope that answers your question, and please keep me posted on how you're doing.